NATO, by the way, is not a political alliance like our tripartite alliance. It's a war machine. It's a killing machine. But no sooner had the Soviet Union collapsed, President Clinton attacks Yugoslavia, and NATO breaks up Yugoslavia. And they continue to move eastward. Until now, NATO wants to then make Ukraine a member of NATO and threatened directly the security of Russia. You can never. Those who may remember, I was still very young, I was 4 years old, 1962 if I'm not mistaken, the Cuban Missile Crisis was about the United States objecting the Soviet Union putting missiles on Cuban soil. Because the United States has got this thing called the Monroe Doctrine, that the Latin American and Southern American sphere is by right the sphere of the United States. For the last 200 years, you can't go and put arms as Russia in Mexico. The United States will not allow that, not just because that it has got a right. Comrade Slava knows, we are not friends of the current Russian government and the Russian oligarchy. But Russia has a legitimate concern about its own security. And that is why we support our own South African government when it says the solution to this problem is a negotiated settlement. And part of that negotiated settlement is that the United States and NATO can extend no further than where it is now. Because this is a war machine. And Russia has a right to actually defend itself. I know, Russia invaded, Russia did this, the SACP and ANC are saying this because they were supported by the Soviet Union. For God's sake, Russia is not the Soviet Union. Are we afraid to say we're supported by the Soviet Union? No. We would never have been free had the Soviet Union not been with us. That's the truth, comrades, about what's happening in the Ukraine. But there are many contradictions. I don't have time to explain them. Read them here. It is not in the interest of the people of Ukraine to have NATO forces there. But that government of the Ukraine is acting in its own narrow selfish interests, endangering ordinary Ukrainian people. They banned the Communist Party, by the way, in the Ukraine. There is no Communist Party. Those are neo-fascists. We are not taking a side when we are saying that we are speaking the truth. But there are contradictions, comrades. A lot of Europe relies on gas from Russia. That is why they say there are sanctions against Russia, but they are saying, no, Nord Stream 1, which is gas from Russia to parts of Europe, must be reopened. And the United States now goes to Venezuela, which it has sanctions, to negotiate supply of oil from Venezuela. It's nice to be the United States. You can love and hate as you wish, like a real hegemon. Now, comrades, what also this is pointing to is that the influence of the United States is beginning to decline globally, and it's becoming dangerous. We never thought the US would risk a war in Ukraine facing Russia. Russia is no small fry. Russia is a nuclear power. The risk that the United States and NATO are taking to place the world in this situation shows that there is an element of desperation by a United States that feels challenged by China in the main. That's why Zoom is nice these days. We had some interaction with our comrades in the Communist Party of the Russian Federation. They simply say, comrades in the SACP, this war with Russia by NATO is just a by the way. The real ultimate goal is the defeat of China.